Application of the grid. You're going to like this.
I assume my inner being is in your group. So I'm going to talk directly to him. Last year, I was looking for business. I live in New Jersey.
Can you hear?
Let me go closer to the mic.
There you go. Just think.
Yes.
Just focus on them hearing, and they will.
Mm-hmm. So I live in New Jersey, and I had construction business before, and construction went down, so I was looking for some different business. Last year I came to Connecticut workshop. You told me because of all other experiences, I have something ready in my mind, and because of the contrast is ready. So 6 months I went through a lot of details, exploring a lot of avenues. In October, I came to Orlando to see different retail businesses. Saw some of the businesses, went back. Somehow, nothing clicked. Then one business was making sense because everything was...
Before you go further, we're going to hear you clearly, but we just want to explain some things to you and to everyone. So he's talking about doing an air conditioning business and how it wasn't really satisfying.
No, it's not air conditioning. This is retail.
Where did you start? What were you doing in the beginning?
I'm civil engineer. I was doing construction management.
So he's talking about the different things that he was doing and how there was dissatisfaction and then moving around trying different things. Mm-hmm. And the words that we want to give to you, to everyone really, but the words that we want to give to you are these. Don't try to fill your own grid in. We're glad you got that. Don't try to fill your own grid in, because what happens when you haven't taken care of the emotional vibrational basis, and then you get impatient, and so then you jump into action, and you try this, and you try this, and you try this, and you try this, nothing sticks, because nothing can stick to what's coming is always a vibrational match to the vibrational grid you've got going. So if you're unhappy where you are, that's the grid you've got going. It's not, I'm not making enough money, I'm working too hard, it's not steady enough, those kinds of things.
No, it was satisfactory. Last year I did not do nothing, I just chill, and I said, let me find, it will come to me. So this business I saw is a kind of lounge bar. So it
is what?
It's a lounge, nightclub bar.
And what will you do with that?
I saw it last year.
Yes.
And then it went away. Somebody bought it.
But what were you going to do with it?
I was going to buy and create money into it. It was financial support for me, and it was party place. So I said I'm going to have fun too doing it.
Yes.
So the business went away for a few weeks, for almost a week. Then I got the call from the broker that, it came back again. Somebody bought it and sold it in 3-4 days. I said, okay. So jumped from New Jersey, signed all the papers, came here in Orlando. Within a week I found out the business is not making on whatever is on a showing paper. Within 3-4 weeks I started to see all the documents, and I found out this was big fraud. So I talked with broker. The more things are coming out. Government sending me papers that, this guy owns the taxis. Everything is, truth is coming out, which I asked a couple of weeks ago, and now everything is there. I signed so many personal guarantees. I put my personal savings, house, everything there. 2-3 weeks ago, I says, if I don't do anything else, the guy who owns the note, he can swing at me, take everything I sign, okay? And it is fraud, already fraud, and still I'm going to lose more. So talk with the lawyer, and I said I don't like, lawsuit, as you say, it's not pushing again. So, but to protect myself, I says we have to do something. So,
all right.
I need to tell a little bit longer.
We know that you really want to,
now,
and so we're going to listen
in all the frustration going on, nothing else I did. I wrote down in the morning, I sit down, I said, universe, this is I want it. This is I want it. I say, I know this is not there. I know this is not there, but this is I want it. This is I want it. Every day I say, universe, I stand here. You know what I want it. You know what I like it.
So you are the perfect example of what we were talking about earlier. And a lot of people are where you are, where your desire is really, really strong. And what life experience you've been living is causing you to have very strong beliefs about something. Now, it is of no advantage to you at all for us to say, well, what you should have done before you did that was this, because you can't go back to do what you should have done before you've done this. But what you should have done before,
it's too late now.
Before you did that, in other words, when someone bought the bar and 3 days later decided they didn't want it, that's a sign. So what we're getting at, now just hear us out. You're really going to like how this unfolds. This is the perfect example. And as we said, we want to keep saying it because we want to soothe you, not antagonize you. We want to soothe you. Almost everyone knows what it's like to get hold of something that is unpleasant and try to fix the unpleasantness of it. In other words, there's a cycle that gets going where this is wrong and so I'll do this, and this is wrong and so I'll do this, and this is wrong and so I'll do this, and this is wrong and so I'll do this. But at some point, you have to turn that cycle around because it's just going to keep becoming more and more and more and more and more because your emotional grid is calling for more and more and more. Every time you tell this story, and we don't blame you for wanting to tell it.
Actually, I wanted to tell different stories.
Wait.
Sorry.
We don't blame you for wanting to tell it. We don't blame you for wanting to fill in the details of it. We know that it feels to most people like you can't get a solution unless you really lay out clearly what the problem is that you're living with. But the thing that we so want you to understand is that every single second that you spend telling the story of what you don't want, no matter how accurate it is, and it is, no matter how unfair it is, and it is, no matter how unjust it is, no matter how ridiculous it is, and no matter how much you don't want it, it is. Every minute you spend telling the story, all you're doing is shoring up that vibrational grid that is going to... Now, here's the thing that we really want you to hear. You're really going to like this. Your grids are really current. They're happening now. Your point of attraction is now. So you could be in this great big mess because of the grid. And in the moment that you stop keeping that grid active and start activating another grid, the other grid will start filling in. Does that make sense to you? In the moment that you stop, and you can't keep two opposite grids active at the same time. You can't talk about what you don't want and what you do want at the same time. You also can't go from the specifics of all of this. It's vivid and it's real and it's accurate, and we don't blame you. You can't.
I'm trying to make it general every day.
Wait, you weren't just now. You can't go from the specifics. You can't go from the specifics. So what you're telling us, we know you're wanting to jump in. What you're wanting to say is, I know what to do. We just want to say to you, you were in no way demonstrating from the moment you sat down here what you know how to do, if you know how to do it. And so at what point are you going to start with the emotional grid that's going to help you? That's really the question that you want to ask. And we know, sometimes things are just so awful that you just can't help talking about them. Your toe is throbbing so hard, or something that you so didn't want happened, that it's like you're obsessed with it because it's so vivid in your vibration. But that is the work. You can turn this around, but you've got to start with the vibrational basis of it. You can't approach it in the way you were by telling us the story.
I don't even turn it around because it looks like feel like struggle or anything. I just want to get out from it, take my money back, and just leave. Go back to family.
But you see what you're doing there? And we don't blame you. You're trying to fill in the grid. What you're saying is, I just want to take my money back and just go back to family. And we say, you're trying to fill in the grid. You're trying to tell the universe what needs to happen so that you can feel better. And it doesn't work that way. You got to feel better, and then the universe will fill it in with the details.
But somehow since last year, I'm doing meditation, and it just feels so, I don't know what it is. Every time I meditate, I want to just get out from physical experience. I just want to exit it. Same thing just last entire month. If I had no family, I could have exit right away. It was that bad emotions. I don't know why.
But you see, here's what you're saying, grid-wise. I
don't understand grid, so I tried it.
Grid means basis. It means beginning. It means platform. Imagine a building under construction. And first they put the foundation, and then they put the frame. And the frame is kind of like the grid, which will later fill in with all of the detail. So you've got this grid, this emotional grid that's filling in with details. And as you find an emotion that feels better, the details that fill in will feel better. In other words, more cooperation could come to you. You could make a success of the business even though it hasn't had success. The business could turn...
The business had actually, a lot of people come and they say it has great potential, used to be very busy, but somehow it's on the paper is not there, or...
Let us ask you some questions.
The guy who had it, he just ruined the whole thing. He just left it just as...
So what? So what? What does that have to do with you now? What does that have to do with you now? What does that have to do with you now? What it does, it supports the feeling of injustice. It supports the feeling of wrongdoing. It supports the feeling of I should be able to get away from it. But you see, you've got yourself crossways, because your business cannot thrive at the same time that you're condemning where it is. So that's the thing about lawsuits that is energetically so out of whack, is that in order to win the lawsuit, you have to really focus negatively on where you are.
Yes.
And when you focus negatively on where you are, you build a grid that doesn't allow good stuff to come, you see. So if we were standing in your physical shoes, the first thing we'd do is say, well, it is what it is, and I am where I am, and I don't have control over that and that and that and that and that, but there's one thing I have control over. I have control over the way I feel. So I'm going to try to make the best of this. I'm going to look as best I can for things that feel as good as I can find them to feel.
That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to play music.
We love you so much, but you've been doing nothing even close to that the whole time you've been sitting in the chair. You've been railing against the injustice and what went wrong. You've been explaining and explaining and explaining and explaining, and now we're doing it too.
Yes, I ask is my inner being that I want to talk with my inner being.
We're not even listening to what you're saying. Blah, 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 blah. Because it's just more of the same, more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. You got to get to this feeling place. You got to get to this feeling place. A feeling place. So when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So do you feel bamboozled? Do you feel taken advantage of?
Yes.
Do you feel like they presented something to you unfairly, so you feel ripped off, bamboozled?
Yes.
You feel like a great injustice has been done. What's the opposite end of that? What's the opposite of that feel like? Appreciated, respected, loved, adored. Do you think that these people and what happened represents the whole of the way the universe feels about you? Or was it one just little piece of something?
It's a little piece.
It's just a little temporary piece.
Yes.
So the basis of your grid, you love respect. You love to give it. You love to get it. You love doing things well. You like to present things. The whole reason that you wanted that bar lounge, you wanted to provide an atmosphere where people could relax, a sort of safe haven.
Yeah, they have party every day.
A sort of place where people could leave their troubles outside the door, just as an environment of well-being. You like that feeling of respect and appreciation. You like to feel You like a place or a state of being that's separate from the frenzy of the world, separate from anything that is unsettling.
Yes.
Sort of a place where you can just be you and all of the well-being that surrounds you, all of the appreciation that you feel for others and others feel for you. It's so delicious to rest in a feeling of appreciation and well-being. It's so nice to know that there are so many options out there and that there are people all around the area that are looking for a place that feels like that, a place that they can just leave everything behind and just sit for a little bit in an environment. Your building represents this grid. It's this place. It's nice and dark in there. It doesn't really matter what it looks like because it's nice and dark in there.
How do you know that?
And there's comfortable music that is playing, and it's a nice place to be. And the people who are there are easygoing. They're glad to see. Nobody's talking about troubles in there. It's a place where everybody sort of leaves their troubles outside the door. In fact, it might even be nice to put a sign on the door that says, with a big bucket there that just says, empty your pockets and your mind of your wearies and your woes. Just leave it all here and come on in here where it feels really good to all of us. We welcome you in here where it feels so good. You might even name your bar The Grid. Name it The Grid. Name it The Grid.
Thank you. I was looking for a name to change.
No one will know what it means and no one will care. But you will know. You will know. It's the vibrational basis of well-being, you see. And as you rest in this place, it is our promise to you that in time, all of the people in the area and people from far and wide will flock to this emotional center place, this place of well-being that you have provided. And the reason that you have provided is because you experienced something in the beginning of it that took you so far from it, that it caused you to launch a rocket of desire. When you say you just want to, if it weren't for your family, you would just run away and leave. In other words, you sort of want to just run away from all of it. You don't want to run away from that. You want to run away from the tension. Go to the grid. You want to run away from the discomfort. Go to the grid. And it is our promise to you that as you rest in this place of well-being, it will fill in with more and more and more, starting with good ideas, starting with employees that are happy to work with you. Then customers will start coming, ideas, one after the other. You will rendezvous with circumstances and events that will take you to a place where in not very long you will remember this life-turning moment when you discovered that you have control over the only thing that matters, and that is your point of attraction. Everything that comes to you is based upon how you feel right now. And how you feel right now is really, really good. Good time for a segment of refreshment.